Dual fuel systems. What in the world is it? Do I need it? We're seeing more and more homeowners ask specifically about dual fuel. First, let's dive into exactly what a dual fuel system is, how it is useful, how it is helpful within a house. Dual fuel system utilizes a heat pump for your outdoor unit paired with a natural gas or propane furnace. And so basically what that heat pump will do, if you don't know necessarily what a heat pump is, a heat pump has a component called a reversing valve. That reversing valve will switch the flow of refrigerant, and so it'll basically turn, so how you get energy removed from your house during the summertime, it will add energy to your home during the wintertime. And so it'll take what energy is outside and it'll transfer that through the refrigerant lines. And this is your coil, so we'll say, and here's your furnace, so F for furnace, E, about put C, evaporator coil, and then here is your heat pump on the outside. So energy flows, it basically condenses that down, and then your evaporator on the inside gets warm instead of cold. And so whenever your system's running and operating, so during the winter time, that heat pump's going to do a very good job at heating your house efficiently up until it gets below a certain temperature, and that's where you're going to utilize your furnace as backup. So this is a dual fuel system. It'll utilize either natural gas or propane to heat during the winter time. And so, and depending on your region, these are some of the questions that I want you to ask yourself. Do I need a dual fuel system for my house? And these are some questions that I want you to ask. Terrible question mark. There we go. What is the cost of fuel? So fuel being natural gas or propane. What is the cost of that? Because if you live in Oklahoma, natural gas is very cheap. We produce a lot of that within Oklahoma, and so our cost of getting natural gas fuel is very cost effective. And so oftentimes it's like, okay, well, natural gas bills are fairly low, and so you're not seeing huge costs in fuel specifically with gas furnaces. And so especially if you have a really nice gas furnace, I've seen gas bills as low as, gosh, let's say $80 a month, depending on your region. That can change. And so if your cost of fuel is really, really high, then a dual fuel system is going to be very helpful. Where it's not necessarily going to be super helpful as far as energy savings. If a dual fuel system does not help you save your money necessarily on your cost of fuel, it may not be as necessary. Another question I want you to ask for yourself is, okay, what is the cost of electricity? Because a heat pump will run and operate off of electricity. It uses electricity to run that heat pump to help add energy into the home in the form of heat. And so if your cost of electricity is really, really high, then a heat pump may not be a really good option for you, especially if your cost of fuel is super, super low. And so this is what we typically find in Oklahoma. Our electricity is not outlandish, but because our cost of fuel is so low, sometimes a heat pump just doesn't make sense whenever you have access to natural gas. Whenever you have access to propane, that's a different conversation. Propane in Oklahoma is more expensive. And so if you have a propane, we see a lot of dual fuel systems being installed on homes that have a propane as their fuel source. And so my house specifically, I have propane at my home. I don't have access to natural gas. And so I have a dual fuel system at my house and it works great. And I really enjoy it. Other questions I want you to ask yourself. What type of comfort, we'll say what type of heating comfort do you like? Because type of heating comfort is also important when considering a dual fuel system, because a heat pump will run and operate efficiently to heat your house up to the temperature that you set. The temperature coming out of the vents, typically you'll see anywhere from about 90 to maybe 92 degrees, 95 degrees, around that range. That is below our body temperatures. And so whenever you stick your hand up to that vent and you feel the air coming out of it, it's going to feel cold. And you're going to think that your system's not working, but it actually is. It's not warmer than your body temperature. And so if you're the type of person that likes that toasty warm fireplace warmth coming out of the vents, then a heat pump may not be for you. And so if you really, really enjoy, we're talking about comfort level, and let's say fuel and electricity is not a factor that you want to consider, or cost of electricity, you're not concerned about the cost of your fuel source, but you're more concerned about your comfort level. Type of heating comfort is going to be super important to figure out which system should you go with. Because a dual fuel system is going to be great for helping solve these two problems, but a heat pump, if money's not a problem and you really want that system to run how you want it to run, I would consider type of heating comfort. What do you like? And so if you like toasty warm, fireplace warmth, then I would stick with a furnace as your main source of heat. If you don't mind the temperature coming out of the vents to be a little bit colder than your body temperature, then a heat pump would be a great option. So those are kind of the 3 questions that I would consider when considering a dual fuel system. All right, so a quick recap over what we discussed today is I went over a dual fuel system, which is a heat pump paired with a natural gas or propane furnace. And I also narrowed down 3 questions that I want you to ask yourself to figure out whether or not a dual fuel system is right for you. I hope this was helpful in understanding what a dual fuel system is, and I hope this kind of answers some questions on which route you want to go. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, feel free to comment down below, and we'd love to answer any questions that you have. Lastly, if you are in the Oklahoma City metro area and you are looking for 5-star plumbing or HVAC services, we'd love to be your team. So scan this QR code if that's you, and hit the like button. Have a great day.